Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World as one. I'm Adya Juneja and this is World DNA. Let's start with all the headlines we're tracking for you at this hour. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says a Russian drone strike a busy shopping center in Kyiv, killing 16 people. Another strike in Mykolaiv killed 4, including 3 minors, as attacks intensify.
We have total control of that entire region having to do with the Strait of Hormuz. They would love to make a deal, but they're not ready to make the right deal, in my opinion.
US President Donald Trump says Iran is not ready to make the right deal and Washington is monitoring the conflict. He also claims the US has total control over the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian calls for an end to the months-long war with the United States, saying Tehran is in a position of strength. He defends June's US agreement, rejecting claims of capitulation. Turkey accuses Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government of using petty political tactics to portray Ankara as a new threat. Netanyahu's office rejects criticism, accusing Erdogan of hypocrisy and oppression. Cockroach Janata Party founder Abhijit Dipke threatens a sit-in protest in Rajasthan after CJP leaders were allegedly attacked and stopped from inspecting government school near Jaipur. He demands action within 48 hours. Pakistan's PTI accuses the government of defying the Supreme Court's order to move Imran Khan to Shifa International Hospital. The party will approach the Apex Court and reaffirms plans for a 27 September long march. US Supreme Court temporarily allows construction of President Donald Trump's White House ballroom to continue, lifting a lower court's halt order. The project remains challenged by historical preservation groups in ongoing litigation. Sword-wielding attacker enters central Swedish high school, killing 1 and wounding 3. Police opened fire on 18-year-old suspect before arresting him. Motive remains under investigation. Canada says there's still work to do on a trade deal with the US as tariffs loom. President Trump, meanwhile, says he expects a deal with Ottawa and says trade talks with Mexico are also getting underway. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says it is time to end the months-long war with the United States, asserting that Tehran is now in a stronger position than Washington. Well, Pezeshkian's call comes as US President Donald Trump pushes for greater economic pressure on Iran. Now, Trump said Iran was interested in reaching a deal but was not yet ready to make the right deal. Now, speaking to reporters, US President Donald Trump warned that diplomacy with Iran remains far from a breakthrough, stating that Tehran is not yet ready to accept the terms he considers necessary. But Trump also said the United States has total control over the Strait of Hormuz as Washington maintains pressure on Iran through economic and maritime measures.
We have total control, as you know, of the border. We have total control. If you look at the blockade, we have total control of that entire region having to do with the Strait of Hormuz. And that means well into it, the land areas. So they would love to make a deal, but they're not ready to make the right deal, in my opinion.
The U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is expected to detail new sanctions on Monday, with Washington describing them as among the toughest ever imposed on Iran. Meanwhile, Iran is striking a defiant tone. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says the war should end, but from a position of power and dignity. Well, he claims the world acknowledges Iran's victory while accusing the U.S. of targeting Iranian schools, hospitals and infrastructure. The talks between Tehran and Washington remain on hold as the war started by the U.S. and Israel in February has been locked in a stalemate. Well, Iran has rejected the latest U.S. pressure campaign, warning that any new threats could trigger a strong military response. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi called the new U.S. sanctions bound to fail, citing previous rounds of maximum pressure that Tehran says failed to force political concessions. Iranian Navy Chief Shahram Irani also warned that Iran is ready to defend its strategic waterways, claiming full control over areas east of the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman. Now, Iran's military chief of staff, Major General Ali Abdullahi, warned that any new threats would draw a crushing, punishing and devastating response across land, sea, air and cyberspace. Now, the Strait of Hormuz remains a key flashpoint. Iran's Navy says it has retained control over parts of the waterway, while U.S. Central Command says its forces have redirected 68 commercial vessels, disabled 3 and boarded 2. Now, this comes as Iran and Oman renew discussions on conditions for resuming talks, including the security and freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. In two separate but close incidents, 2 commercial vessels carrying a total of 22 Indian nationals were hijacked off the coast of Yemen and Somalia. Well, after the statement by Ministry of External Affairs, now India's mission in Kenya has also reiterated that all crew members are safe. Well, on 20th of August, the Eritrea-flagged oil tanker MT Cebu-1 was hijacked by pirates in the Gulf of Aden near Yemen, stranding a 20-person crew that includes 16 Indian seafarers. Now, this follows the 17th of August hijacking of the Cameroon-flagged MV Lutuf off Somalia's Puntland coast, where 6 armed pirates seized control of the vessel and its 6 Indian crew members. Well, in its response, the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson had stated that the MEA was actively tracking the hijacking and had spoken to concerned authorities for diffusing the situation.
Both the ships were foreign flagged. Indian seafarers 22 in total were on board. All 22 Indians are safe and alive. We continue to speak with authorities for the safety of our nationals.
Well, adding to the MEA's response, even India's embassy in Kenya confirmed that no casualties had been reported in the hijacking. Now, the mission has reaffirmed that it is engaging with authorities in Somalia for the safe return of the 22 Indian seafarers. The twin hijackings come amid renewed security concerns for commercial shipping in the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden and wider Indian Ocean. Vessels in the region have faced both piracy threats and attacks linked to the conflict in Yemen. Now, the Forward Seamen's Union of India recently voiced alarm over mounting regional tensions and Indian casualties. As one of the world's largest suppliers of merchant seafarers, India faces high exposure to growing maritime conflict, especially in West Asia. The 2026 PIMCO ICS Seafarer Workforce Report ranks India second globally behind the Philippines, providing 311,936 seafarers to the global fleet. Moving on now, a new missile threat may be moving closer to Ukraine As Kyiv struggles to stop Russia's ballistic strikes, Ukrainian intelligence says Moscow has received a powerful North Korean missile capable of carrying a warhead weighing up to 2,500 kilograms. Now, this comes a day after Ukraine says 16 people were killed in Russian missile attacks on Kyiv. At least 14 people killed and more than 120 wounded on Friday when 2 Russian drones struck a shopping center in the central Ukrainian city of Kyiv. Well, our next story shares the latest updates on the battlefield. Take a look.
Ukraine is facing one of the most critical moments of the war. Russia continues to launch targeted attacks on Kyiv. For months, Western-supplied air defense systems shielded major cities from aerial bombardment. Now, critical stockpiles of Patriot interceptor missiles have run out. Ukrainian cities stand dangerously exposed as Moscow unleashes devastating retaliatory waves for Ukraine's deep drone strikes inside Russian territory. On the ground, it is the ordinary Ukrainians who are suffering.
We heard the air raid siren, I got out of bed, went into the children's room, and there was an explosion straight away. 3 in quick succession. The windows were blown out, and bricks flew up to our flat on the 8th floor. It nearly killed my husband. It landed about 30 centimeters away from him. The door was blown off its hinges. Well, that sort of thing.
The missile fell over there, far away, and there was a small fire there, a small one. If the firefighters had arrived and put it out, none of this would have happened. But unfortunately, the fire started sometime between 1 and 2 o'clock. I don't know the exact time. And the people who arrived later, the owners of the other stalls, said that the emergency services came to put out the fire at around 5 a.m.
Yet Ukrainian intelligence officials warn that the worst may be yet to come. According to the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, Russia has taken delivery of the KN-30, a terrifying new North Korean ballistic missile. Intelligence assessments reveal this monster weapon carries a colossal 2,500 kilogram warhead, dwarfing previous ballistic arsenals. Ukrainian commanders fear this new weapon gives Moscow unprecedented demolition power against fortified targets and critical infrastructure. The KN-30 represents a dramatic leap in military hardware transfers between the two allied nations. While neither Moscow nor Pyongyang has officially confirmed the weapons delivery, North Korean troops have already deployed on the front lines to fight alongside Russian forces. With Patriot missile batteries exhausted and 0 interceptors left on standby, Kyiv faces an existential air defense crisis. The arrival of North Korea's heaviest warhead yet, along with the massive Russian stockpile, signals a brutal new chapter in aerial warfare, leaving Ukrainian cities bracing for impact. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Shifting our focus to Taiwan now, tensions continue to brew between China and Taiwan. And in the latest, Taipei flagged off a Chinese research ship sailing in sensitive waters to the island's west. It claims it had warned and shadowed the vessel earlier. Now, according to the Taiwanese Coast Guard, this is the 3rd time that the ship has reappeared in the troubled waters. Well, Taipei sees this as an ongoing maritime provocation. The ship, named Tongji, was commissioned in 2025 and was spotted on late 20th of August, about 24.9 nautical miles northwest of Taiwan's Penghu Islands, home to major military bases. Well, Taiwan claimed the ship was not observed deploying or towing any instruments and that it sent one of its patrol boats to sail alongside the Tongji and broadcast strong warnings for it to leave. Well, Taiwan has regularly complained of appearances by Chinese ships, including China's Coast Guard, in waters that are part of quote-unquote grey zone. Well, it calls these appearances as an act of harassment designed to pressure Taipei and give an impression of Chinese jurisdiction. Taiwan's Coast Guard says it proactively deploys ship in response to Chinese vessels with the aim of protecting national sovereignty and ensuring the security of its waters. Well, earlier this month, Taiwan held one of its largest military drills in Han Kuang exercise. And amid the exercise, Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te channeled a morale-boosting message to naval personnel, reassuring them that in response to external threats and challenges, well, the government will provide maximum support.
The Han Kuang exercise aims to test command coordination, battlefield adaptability, and national defense capabilities through live force, live location, and live equipment operations. In the face of external threats and challenges, the government continues to enhance our defense capabilities and provide maximum support to our armed forces and navy.
Well, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh have reportedly emerged as net contributors of air pollution to neighbouring southern states. Now, the observation is according to a new study by Bengaluru-based think tank Centre for Study of Science, Technology and Policy, which used chemical transport modelling to track the movement of pollution across 5 states of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala and Telangana. Now, according to the study, 61% of Tamil Nadu's annual average pollution originates within the South Indian region. Of that, 81% originates within Tamil Nadu, while Kerala accounts for 8%, followed by Andhra at 5%, Karnataka at 4% and Telangana at 2%. Now, the study further classifies Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh as net contributors, while Kerala and Telangana are net receivers. Karnataka occupies a more intermediate position, both receiving and exporting pollution. Well, this partly is because of its central location in the region. Now, the study identifies domestic sources, industrial activity and open burning among the major local sources of pollution in the region. It also warns that pollution transport varies by season and weather conditions. Tamil Nadu, for instance, contributes pollution to neighbouring states during some periods, but also receives pollution from them at other times. However, the study argues that pollution cannot be effectively tackled through city or state level measures alone, as pollutants cross administrative boundaries. It has also proposed a 2-stage regional cooperation framework for the 5 southern states. Now, these include shared emissions inventories, monitoring systems, and coordinated response measures. Well, India's manufacturing sector is growing rapidly, but that growth is creating an unexpected problem. Well, the country is importing even more goods needed to make products at home. Well, India's merchandise trade deficit, or the gap between what it imports and exports, widened at nearly $32 billion in 2026 of July only. Now, that's a 6-month high. Goods imports rose 18% from a year earlier to $76.2 billion, while exports increased 20% to $44.2 billion. Importantly, oil was not the main reason for the wider deficit. India's oil imports actually fell to $18.3 billion in July from $19.3 billion in June. Instead, the increase came largely from machinery, electronics and other equipment needed to expand factories. This creates what looks like a contradiction. India is exporting more manufactured products, but it is also importing more of the machines, chips and components required to make them. Now, the reason is simple. Building a factory requires large investments before the factory can start producing at full capacity. Companies first buy machinery, electronic components and semiconductors from overseas. Those imports immediately show up in the trade data, while the benefits from higher production and exports take longer to appear. The bigger challenge is that India still relies heavily on imported inputs. A smartphone or electronic product may be assembled in India and exported overseas, but many of its key components still come from other countries. Well, that means rising exports do not automatically translate into a stronger trade balance. Well, for India, the long-term goal is therefore not just to assemble more products, but to produce more of their components domestically. Experts say if today's imported machinery helped build strong local support and supply chains, well, the current trade deficit could eventually support a more competitive manufacturing economy. But if India remains dependent on imported chips, machinery and components, well, the country could continue exporting more while also importing more. Well, on to some sports stories now. Indian shuttlers Teresa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichand have ended India's long wait for a women's double medal at the BWF World Championships. But there was disappointment for men's double pair of Satvik Siraj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty, who crashed out in New Delhi. Well, Jolly and Gopichand entered the quarter-final as the underdogs but continued their giant killing run. They faced an early 0-6 deficit despite fighting back to trail 8-11 at the interval, while the clinical Chinese duo regained control and sealed the opening game. Jolly and Gopichand completely turned the tide, raising their intensity and maintaining a steady lead to force a deciding third game. Riding the momentum, the Indian duo surged to an early 10-5 lead in the decider, producing exceptional defense and sharp net play to complete the victory. Well, this victory also means more than just progress towards the title, as it guaranteed India a women's doubles medal at the World Championships for the first time since 2011. The home duo will now face Chinese top seeds Liu Shengshu and Tang Ning for a place in the title clash. In a world full of cosmic rings, Kelly MacDonald's secret weapon is her grounded grit. As the Scottish actor joins DCU's Lanterns, well, she reflects on the 3 decades spent effortlessly jumping across genres, packing a punch as Sheriff Kerry Kane, and her take on superhero fatigue in a candid chat with WION's Kriti Tulsiani. Take a look.
Wouldn't it be great if we could have a superhero sort of fly in and reverse things that are happening in the world right now, or sort of help us? So I totally understand the need for them. Yeah, and I just feel really pleased that I was given the opportunity to sort of hang out with a couple. I feel very lucky to do the job I do always. Even the bad jobs are not that bad. But this, this was just joyous. It was a great project. The writing was amazing. My co-stars were just, it felt like a really lovely ensemble cast. This was very much my introduction to it. I wasn't, comic book wise, I kind of read the Garfield comics. Superheroes weren't really, it didn't come into my childhood at all. So I don't think anybody's really got to know the Green Lantern properly yet. I hope that this is the definitive version. Different actors have different methods, and I just basically work off of a script, and I've got sort of in my head, like I've got sort of strong female characters that just sort of live inside me from watching things like that. I kind of I could sort of not emulate, but sort of want to be. I've got like, there's a few characters that kind of like I dreamt of being and playing, and so this was my chance to sort of become one of these strong women.
Well, that is it in this edition, but don't go anywhere. News and updates will follow on the other side. Keep watching WION World is One.
what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.